Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass.net. So coming up in the next month or so, I'll finally be releasing the new course, Simple Steps to Walking Bass. It's a 3-module course taking you from the absolute basics of walking all the way through to improvising advanced chromatic bass lines all over the fretboard, all in simple progressive steps. As a little primer leading up to the release, I'm going to give you a simple little hack that can get you on your feet with walking and even give you a little bit of chromatic spice in your playing. As per usual, all the lesson material is available over at Talkingbass.net, so just follow the link in the info below and you can play along with the tab and you can play along with 3 different backing practice tracks that I've got over there, all at different tempos. We've got one at 100 beats per minute, 120 and 160 beats per minute. So get on over there and you can play along. So let's get straight into this hack. Now remember, when we play a walking bass line, we're looking to outline the chord progression and we're looking to lead smoothly from one chord into the next in a fluid manner using constant quarter notes as the main rhythm. So this hack works best with chords that last a single bar. Okay, and all we're going to do is play the main triad of the chord for the first 3 beats, so that's the root, the third and the fifth, and then we're going to use a chromatic approach note from above or below leading into the root of the next chord. Okay, so don't worry if you've never heard that term, chromatic approach note, just think of a note 1 fret above or below the root note of the next chord. So let's have a look at a basic chord change of C major 7 to A minor 7. Okay, so remember what I said, for the hack we're going to play the first 3 notes of the basic triad of that chord. So for C major 7 we're going to be looking at the root, the third and the fifth. Okay, so that's the triad in there, so that's C, E and G. Don't worry about the 7th, you know, we're just looking at the root, the third and the fifth. And that gives us our first 3 beats, okay, and we've only got 4 of them to take care of, so that's the first 3 notes in there. Now, for the 4th note, we're going to lead into the next chord. So the next chord is A minor 7. So the root note will be A. So we're going to be leading into A. So let's find an A. Well, let's go down for now. Let's have a look at the A down here, 5th fret of the E string. So for the chromatic approach, we're just going to play a fret below or above that A. So we could either play the A flat or G sharp, which would be at the 4th fret of the E string, or we could play the B flat at the 6th fret of the E string. So let's put those together. So we've got C, E, G, A flat, A, okay? Or C, E, G, B flat, A. Either way. And we're now onto the A minor 7. Okay, so that's the basic hack. First 3 beats we have the notes of the triad, and then for the 4th beat we just have the chromatic approach leading into that next chord. So as our main exercise for this lesson, we're going to look at a 4-bar chord progression of 1, 6, 2, 5 in C major. So that's going to be C major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7 and G7. And you can hear those chords on the backing track that you can find over at Talkingbass.net. So remember, for this hack, we're going to be using the main chord triad of each of those chords. So even though they're all 7th chords, don't worry about it. You don't need to be hitting the 7ths in there. We're just looking at the first 3 notes of the arpeggio. So root, third and fifth, the main triad. So let's look at the arpeggios for each of those chords. So C major 7 we've already looked at. So C, E and G. Okay, so that's 3rd fret A string, 2nd fret and 5th fret on the D string. That's our main triad in there. For A minor 7, we have a minor triad. So we could play it in the very common way, the common fingering there of A, C and E played 5th fret and 8th fret on the E string and then the 7th fret on the A string. But I'm actually going to take the fingering down a bit and start on the 4th finger. So this is a really handy arpeggio to learn for the minor triad. And this is going to be 5th fret on the E string for the A, then 3rd fret on the A string for the C, and the 2nd fret of the D string for the E. Okay, so that's our A minor triad. Very useful shape there. Then we take that exact same shape and we move it up onto the D. So D, 5th fret of the A string, and that gives us a D minor triad. So that's going to be D, 5th fret of the A string, F, 3rd fret of the D string, and A, 2nd fret of the G string. So D minor. And then finally for the G7, we need a G major triad. So we take the exact same notes that we had for the C, just drop them down onto the G. So we have G, B, and D. Okay, so that's 3rd fret E string, 2nd and 5th fret on the A string. Okay, so that's the first thing. We just want to have those arpeggios under our fingers. So C major, A minor, D minor, and G major. Okay, and back to C. Okay, so let's just try those arpeggios with the backing track. So remember, there's going to be 4 beats in a bar, so we just play root, 3rd, 5th, 3rd. So we just up and down the triad. Okay, so with the track. 2, 3, 4. C major, A minor, D minor. Okay. So that's the arpeggios. So now all we need to do is add the chromatic approaches in there. So we already have a layout for where we're going to be moving, you know, because we've already got these arpeggios laid out. So all we need to do is see the chromatic approaches leading into each root note. So let's say that we used the chromatic approach below the root note. We might play root, 3rd, 5th, below the A into the A, up the arpeggio, then on the 4th beat, we're looking at the D, we're targeting that, so let's play the C sharp leading into the D. Then we come up again on the arpeggio, and then let's try the chromatic approach there, F sharp, 2nd fret of the E string leading into the G. Now don't worry, I know this isn't that smooth, we've got some big leaps in there, but I'll get to that in a second. So far we have okay, so that's with the chromatic approach from below. If we use the chromatic approach from above, we'd have the following. So C, E, G. Okay, so we've got this nice little chromatic line there. So when we got up there on the D, we've got the A flat leading down into the G, up, and then we've got that D flat leading nicely into the C. So it's got a lot of that jazzy spice in there because we've got these chromatic notes in there. And obviously, you don't want to use the exact same ones every time. You mix this up. But that's the idea. So all you have to think about really is, you know, which root note you're going to be on. So C, A, D, or G. You know, you want to be targeting those notes. You want to know the triad. You know, you want to have a pattern there already under your fingers, ready to go. So you play through the triad. While you're playing the triad, you know, think ahead. Always be looking at the next root note coming up. So as soon as I hit that C, I'm looking at the next chord. I'm looking at the A. So I'm looking at either this A, this A, this A, you know, this A, whichever A, we're targeting it. So I'm coming up. I'm already thinking of the A, so I'm already thinking of which note I'm going to approach with. So I'm coming up. Now I'm on the A and I'm already thinking about the D. So I'm coming up and thinking, okay, I'm going to do that one. I'm coming up, I'm thinking about the G. Okay, any way that you want to go with this, okay? And that's the basis of this hack. So you can see it's a pretty easy way of creating an okay walking bass line. It's not the most inspired thing ever, but it does get you through it, okay? So let's try that bass line with the practice track. So I'm just going to work through it. First time I'm going to have the approach note from below, and second time from above. And remember, this is all transcribed in the lesson material over at talkingbass.net, so don't worry about me working through all the notes one at a time. You can just look at the tab over there, okay? So with the backing track at 100 beats per minute. 2, 3, 4. So that method works okay, but the problem is we're always rising, we're always ascending through the arpeggio, we're always working up. And that can be a problem if we want to go down, because if we want to go down, as we did with the C to the A there, we've got this large jump down, this big leap down to the A flat leading in. It's not that smooth. The same thing happened when we came up the D minor 7 and then jumping down to the F sharp. We want it a little bit smoother than that. So, as an easy way to get around that, all we've got to do is think of the third and the fifth of each triad and take them down the octave, okay? So you'll see how this works as we work up. So let's say that I'm working up to the high A from the C here. So C major, I'm coming up, and then instead of playing down to this A, I'm going to play this A up here at the 7th fret of the D string. So C, E, G. A great little move there would be to go G sharp into the A. So we've got a nice smooth line. But let's say for the next chord, I don't want to move up to the D. Let's say I want to go down to this D. Well, I'm going to have a problem because so far all we've done is played ascending triads. So now instead of the third and the fifth up here, so the C and the E, I can play those down here, okay? So for the A minor, I'm actually on the A there, 7th fret with the 4th finger, and I just play the third and the fifth below. So we're playing below the root note. So A, 7th fret of the D string, then down to the C at the 3rd fret of the A string, and the E at the 7th fret of the A string. So it's exactly the same as playing an A minor triad down here, playing A, C, and E, okay? Like that pattern, but we're playing with the root on the top, okay? So, you know, I've probably just made that sound a lot more confusing than it actually is. All we're doing is playing root on the top and then third and the fifth on the bottom. And all you've got to do is get used to two patterns. So for a minor triad, so let's say we're on that A there, we jump down to the minor third there. That's our pattern. So 7th fret D string, 3rd fret and 7th fret on the A string. So just get used to that pattern. Or for the major triad, we drop down to, let's say, the C sharp at the 4th fret of the A string, and then again the E at the 7th fret. So there's an A major, so A minor or A major. And it will be the same no matter where we move it. You know, it's the same pattern. So if I was on a D, there's the D, 5th fret of the A string, and then if we want D minor, we drop down to the F there for the minor third, and then up to the A there at the 5th fret of the E string for the 5th. So there's the pattern for the D minor. So you just want to get used to moving that pattern around. D major would be D down to the F sharp, okay? So it's just another pattern. It's like learning any arpeggio. So like learning the C there, C major, C, E, G. Just try thinking of it from the high C there at the 5th fret of the G string and dropping down to the E and the G. So we've just moved the root notes up an octave. Okay? So, armed with all that new information, let's try creating another walking bass line. So, this time we're going to start on the C major and work up the triad as normal. But this time we're going to target the A there, 7th fret of the D string. So we've got this nice little chromatic move we've got there. G sharp to the A. So I've gone 3rd fret, A string, then 2nd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, all on the D string. And we're at this A. So this time, let's say that we want to come down to the D minor. We can drop down to the 3rd and the 5th below. So we've got the A there, 7th fret of the D string, drop down to the C, 3rd fret of the A string, then up to the E, 7th fret, and that leaves us with a nice little chromatic approach note we can use there at the 6th fret, the E flat, to lead us into the D. Perfect, okay? So we've dropped down, and then we're on the D. Again, let's drop down again. Let's say that we want to come down to this G. We can use the same pattern. So we've got the D, 5th fret of the A string, drop down to the F, 1st fret of the E string, and then up to the A, 5th fret of the E string. That minor arpeggio again, just dropping down to the 3rd. Then, once again, we're targeting the G, so we can play the A flat, leading smoothly into the G. Okay, so 4th fret to the 3rd fret. Perfect. Then, once we're there, we can come up and use our same old line of coming up the arpeggio and then using that D flat to come back into the C. So, really, really simple way, just using 2 lines really. We're using either the triad going up or the triad dropping down to create a full walking line. So we now have C, E, G, G sharp, A, drop down, D, drop down, G, ascend. Okay? Another line, okay? So let's try that new bass line with the backing track at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use this method to improvise walking bass lines around the neck in any way that you like. And, you know, even though we're only using 2 lines in there, it's amazing how much diversity you can really get in there. And obviously we've got the chromatic notes in there, so it does sound quite hip. So, you know, you could drop down from that C down to the 3rd if you want, C down to the G, coming up to the A, rising up, maybe use an upper approach note down to the D, lower approach, up to the C, maybe down, and then you could even shift position up to the D, you know, and then you're up here. You know, you can just walk around where you want. Okay, so like I say, even though we've only got 2 lines, there's, you know, a lot of room for creation in there. So please note that this is just a basic hack, you know, and there's obviously a lot more to walking bass lines than just this. But it is a start, and it really gives you an idea of the kind of stuff that you need to work on, the skills that you need to develop for creating walking bass lines. So obviously we need to learn the notes on our neck, you know, in several different positions. We need to know the chord construction principles. We need to know the triads, we need to know the 7th chords, we need to know all about that stuff. And, you know, we need to start learning some harmony. But, you know, it's a good start. And I've actually got a lot of stuff, a lot of lessons devoted to these kind of things already on YouTube. So I will give some links to that in the info below. But remember that the course, Simple Steps to Walking Bass, will be coming out within the next month, and I go into all of this stuff in depth. So remember to like this vid if it's helped, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell graphic for notifications on weekly lesson releases. Also check out Talkingbass if you want the tab and backing tracks for this lesson, and then check out the lesson map over there for hundreds more lessons on every topic imaginable. Also sign up for the free membership to gain access to a whole load of extra practice resources and downloads like the scale reference manual. Okay, I'll see you next week.